Hey everyone, Boško Bojovic is here. As you can see, I just came back from work. I work as a residence life coordinator at a school, and I also work at Dick's Sporting Goods. So let's jump into it. I'm an international student. I've been in the US so far 7 years, and this is my 8th year. First six years I was playing basketball, so I was on a F1 visa, and then the year after or last year I was a graduate assistant, so I was still on an F1 visa, and then this year I decided to pursue my OPT, and usually all my visa interviews were super easy. Just they ask you a few questions. I think just because they have to. They'll ask you a few questions as, what school are you going to? They will ask me like, what position am I going to play? Because when you have a school sponsoring you, I think it's a lot easier, and also because you're not making any money, so you're not like a high threat. So yeah, it was usually easy. And then this year I decided to pursue my OPT, and I know people were telling me that if your visa is expiring, that you should not go home to pursue an OPT because you might get denied. But I didn't believe it, I thought, well, it was always so easy to get a visa, so it's gonna be easy again. It was not. I remember I went to my first visa interview after I got home, and I went to the embassy, and I didn't prepare at all. Like I thought it's gonna be easy, light work. But as soon as they started talking to me, I could feel the energy in their tone that they're being suspicious. So a few questions they asked me, why do you want to pursue your OPT? And I gave a vague response. I didn't prepare. I didn't really think much of it. I thought it's gonna be easy. So I've said something general, such as, well, I think it's gonna help me become better in my craft, and it's gonna help me in the long run. Or last year I got my master's in management, so I probably said, I think it's gonna help me become a better manager, whatever. And then he started asking me, do you have any family in the US? Or when was the last time you saw your family? And I almost kind of got irritated by his question, or him questioning me. So I was like, well, I just saw them 5 minutes ago. Everyone is in Bosnia. And then he asked me, what is my 5-year plan? And I gave a super vague response. I think I said, well, I probably want to get my doctorates in the future in the US. And I think that was the wrong answer, because I didn't express a will that I want to go back home. And he literally looked at me and he said, I think that you should pursue your doctorates. I don't think the OPT is for you. You should probably apply for a different visa. And he handed me back the slip. I was furious. I was so pissed. And that was another mistake that I made. Is that I responded, I was like, sir, what do you want me to do? What's the whole point of OPT then to get job experience? And he got irritated by my response, and his supervisor was next to me, and both of them got irritated. and they ruined my chance for the next time. So I pretty much, took his advice, and as soon as I got home, after of course, freaking out and feel like my life is, going down the drain, I called my DSO, and she put me in the doctor's program. So, I did a bit more of preparing, yada yada yada, for like a week, and I went back to Sarajevo, Bosnia, and he was his supervisor. And he called my name, and he came to him, and I could literally see in his eyes that he was pissed to see me. He told me, "Oh, so now in your doctorate?" And I was like, "Yeah, He asked me a few questions about my family, about how much money does my family have, and I was feeling pretty confident because I'm in a pretty good situation. And maybe 15-20 seconds after he handed me the slip, didn't say anything, and in the slip it said that I don't provide enough connections to my home country, that I'm not really expressing any will to go back home. And that was like a huge mistake. And so I got denied twice, and before that I never got denied in my life. And I was driving back home, and I was just in shock. You feel like your life is just going down the drain, because I spent 7 years in the US in college. That was pretty much all I know. Like, I knew our economy was not the best in comparison to the US, and I was probably in a very bad mental headspace for a week or two. And then, I didn't want to give up. I thought there has to be a chance, even though I was watching YouTube videos from people like Argo Visa and other professionals, ex-visa officers, and they were all saying, that you should not pack up your denials, because the next time you're getting interviewed, the visa officer gonna see those denials. And even though, I believe that was true, I still wanted to get another chance, because I knew that I don't have no ill will to be in the US, that I would never try to illegally stay or anything like that. I just know that I was misunderstood, and that I probably didn't prepare for an interview. And that happens. These officers are people, they make mistakes too. Sometimes their judgment can fail them. Sometimes they can be irritable as well. They deal with hundreds of people daily. So I thought, there might be another chance. Even though I was a bit pessimistic and people around me were pessimistic, I knew that, there's a bit of chance. So I didn't want to go back to Bosnia, to Sarajevo, because they only have 2 visa officers, and though 2 of them were not the most friendly towards me. So I tried to go to Serbia, and they didn't have no open spots for people, that don't live in Serbia, and that was pretty, devastating as well. I was like, well, maybe God is telling me that I should, just continue living in Bosnia. And then maybe a week after I pretty much almost gave up, I look at Croatia and I see there's a meeting, or there's an open appointment next week. I book it. And every time you book an appointment, you spend like $150-$200. So I spent probably $500-$600 on those 3 appointments, which was a lot, but in the same time, that's an investment. So I went to Croatia prepared, like super prepared. I was preparing for that week, which is not a lot, but it was smart preparing. I was preparing questions, my answers, and even though you shouldn't really prepare your answer word to word because you don't want to sound like a robot, because that's going to be a red flag as well for them too. But you just have to, memorize a concept. Like, you have to have your story and understand your story, and then you will be able to answer any questions, because obviously they didn't believe me that I had intentions to come back. So during that process, I prepared a lot. I had all the documentation that I needed, and the conversation was going a lot smoother. And luckily I was watching videos from professionals, and they mentioned that even though a visa officer is not looking at you, he's listening. And that was a huge thing. I'll start talking, and he'll be looking at the computer. And, as a person who is used to eye contact, I'll be like, man, he's not even listening. But I will keep talking, because I remember what the visa officer said. So I will keep talking, even though he's not making eye contact with me. I'll be explaining and emphasizing my points and my reasoning, and it worked. It worked, even though my visa was not approved in the moment. It wasn't a denial. It was a no. So So they didn't give me a visa, but they told me if I send more documents, that they will give it to me. So a week or two after, I spent on preparing documentation, working on it, sent my documents. They responded back, and they told me I have to go to the doctor to make sure I don't have no transmissible diseases, and which was also super expensive. But a few days after the doctor's appointment, got my visa approved. It was super stressful. This is probably the most stressful summer I ever had, because it was constantly up and down. Am I going to the US? I'm not going to the US. Am I going to the US? I'm not going to the US. But the most important thing I can tell you or give you as advice: one, don't give up. You can always find a way. Me going to another country, even though it's sometimes frowned upon and seen as visa fishing, if that's your only option, do it. If you know that your situation is that you don't have any malicious intent, or that you think it was a mistake by the visa officer to deny you, I would say go for it. Second thing, prepare. If you think you can't prepare by yourself, those visa officers, they do charge $200-300 for mock interviews, or helping you with questions. I think it's worth it. What can $200-300 be if US can make you or help you make thousands? That's just a small investment, even though in the moment it probably is big. In the long run, it's not going to be. So prepare, look at videos on YouTube, prepare documentation, probably do some mock interviews with someone, and follow me. If you have any questions, follow, like, subscribe, whatever. But if you have any question, comment, and I'll give my best to help you because I went through it. 2 times getting your visa denied was extremely hard, extremely mentally draining. So if you guys are going through the same thing, I know how it is. So comment, ask me, and I'll try to help the best as I can. Bye bye.